Greetings, fellow Skipper Dans. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And tonight, things are about to get weird. Oh, yeah. All right. It's
Things are going to get
weird.
Al weird in here. And by Al weird, I mean Weird Al.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. Weird, the Al Yankovic story, Dragon. You and I think it's fair to say, Dragon, the two of us together, we are quite the connoisseurs of biopics. Is that fair to say?
Oh, yes, we are. We are
Like
the we
we
are
we more than dabble in our fair share of biopics.
we are the sommeliers of cinematic biographies, one could say.
Oh boy! So between pitches and just us kind of like obsessing over them and everything, this is a very interesting movie to break down. And Dragon, I got to say, at first when I thought, what should we call this? Should we call this just a review or what? Is spoiler cast really appropriate because it's just kind of the story of the dude's life? No, it's not. Not at all. I think spoiler cast is very appropriate for this, considering the direction this movie takes.
One could say the most inaccurate biopic of all time, but by intention.
Right. Dragon, I'm not 100% in love with this movie from like a structural point of view or anything like that. But I think this movie is at the very least probably one of the funniest movies I have seen in a while. I thoroughly just laughed from beginning to end. I think this is just a perfect deconstruction of the biopic format. I would even go as far as to say I really should have rewatched this movie for comparison's sake. I kind of regret not doing that for this. But I will go to say that at least upon my initial watch, I think that this is funnier than Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. I just something about it just being an actual guy's life and yet it still being just so absurd. I don't know. We'll break down everything, but I don't know where I would rank this as far as like my favorite movies of the year, just because, like I said, I do have some structural issues with it. But it's definitely a top comedy when it comes to just pure, the laugh per minute ratio for sure. All right, what do you think?
Yeah, so just a little bit of kind of our we should probably perhaps say maybe our history with Weird Al himself. Do you have any history with Weird Al himself?
Yeah, I do. I gotta be honest with you, Dragon. I never really dived too hard into him until the last studio album that he came out with, which was Mandatory Fun, which, my God, that was almost 10 years ago at this point. He's been focusing a lot more on internet and social media stuff.
And appearing on Gallivant.
What?
And appearing on Gallivant.
Of course. Well, yes. I mean, just in general, he's been doing a lot of voice acting, stuff like that. He's kept himself busy for sure.
He's the monk.
Yes, Dragon, he's the monk. Thank you.
He's the monk.
But yeah, it's funny because Weird Al, it's like I remember when I was a kid, I actually kind of thought that the concept of him was a little bit stupid because I was like, wait a minute, like basically, Dragon, I was kind of like the naysayers in this movie. I was like, why would you
listen to the real song?
Already popular songs and make them comical with fart noises and then Dragon, when I grew up, it's kind of weird how I kind of like grew into Weird Al of all things, but I appreciated the music ship of Weird Al's music a lot more. It's I think the man just, parody or not, he just has rock solid music, rock solid lyrics, I mean. The dude is like the Hendrix of accordion. I mean, you can't take that away from him. The dude just does things with the accordion that no one else can do. And yeah, I don't know. He just kind of has just a way of producing and of course, Dragon, his public persona more than anything else, which is honestly knowing Weird Al like I do, kind of like following him on social media, kind of getting into into the personal side of him. Dragon, it honestly makes the absurdism of this movie even funnier. Just how hard they go with like Weird Al as an asshole,
Yeah.
because Al Yankovic, Dragon, is one of the sweetest, most cuddly teddy bears of a human being you will ever find. I mean, and frankly, if you were to make a movie of this guy's life and play it straight, it would be very boring because it'd basically just be like, we love this guy. This guy's super charming and he has nothing controversial wrong with him
I mean,
at
when's the
all.
last time you saw a really bad person play the accordion? Let's be honest.
So,
I mean, Hitler's a guitar man, let's be honest.
John Kelling is here, the not so spooky John Kelling.
Not so spooky,
This honestly might be the funniest movie I've seen this year. Yeah, John, like I said, like on a pure laughs per minute ratio, I would definitely agree with you. All right. So Dragon, yeah, where are you standing? And yeah, if you have any history with Weird Al, by all means.
So yeah, I first heard of Weird Al through some friends of mine who were, let's just say, they were the religious sort, and they were kind of going on about, oh yeah, Weird Al. I was like, who the heck's Weird Al? And they told me about it, and I was kind of, I looked into it. It's like, okay, so it does like some parody songs or some such stuff, and yeah, I mean, I love the shirt look because I'm a huge proponent of the Hawaiian shirt and the button up shirt. I love that look. But yeah, I mean, for me, his music videos, what I think were the most memorable aspect, and of course, like the music video for me with Weird Al, it's Fat.
Sure. For me, it was White and Nerdy. Actually, that was kind of the gateway drug for me.
Yeah, for me, it was just the production values of, oh my god, this is hilarious.
Fat, Amish Paradise, The Saga Begins. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of iconic music videos.
And of course, the other thing I knew, I really kind of was introduced to Weird Al from beyond that music video was he did the opening of Spy Hard, which in itself is a spoof movie, which very much sets the tone for this movie. So I mean, this movie I feel ultimately is very much made in tribute to, and again, Weird Al being involved, and also given the Funny or Die roots of this, which we'll get into momentarily. It makes sense that Weird Al would go for kind of like the classic parody before he got ran into the ground by the Hollywood system with the Zucker brothers. The Zucker brothers, of course, who gave us. I'm sorry, I'm blindly assuming they're brothers. I believe they're brothers. I believe it's like David and something.
Yeah, they're the brothers. Yeah.
Okay, good. The Zucker brothers. They did the Naked Gun films, which I loved, and of course you had Leslie Nielsen and a few other movies that were still okay, but not as good as Naked Gun, which included Spy Hard, which Weird Al basically did the James Bond opening for, where he sings, "You're watching Spy Hard," and he actually is so funny. If you ever think, you really should look into that opening that he does because he actually maintains a high note.
Sounds hilarious.
They were supposed to dub him when he does like the huge Bondian high note at the end, but they didn't need to. And
something the man can reach a high note.
That's what I'm saying. You got, and they do. It's kind of a gag they do based on this, which is really funny. It's worth looking into. And I think my favorite line is like at the end of it, he's like saying, in case anyone's walked in late to the movie, essentially, allow me to reiterate. It's always my go-to Weird Al line because I think it's so genius. I love it. Anyway, but yeah, so. And of course, we've seen him like play himself on the Goldbergs and very self-referentially and a lot of fun. There's the point being, Weird Al's been around. He's been coming. He's kind of turns up like a beloved bad penny. And yeah, it's just the idea of this biopic was being made with the Weird Al flair. It's essentially it's the most ingenious thing you've ever heard of. Where it's a parody of a biopic, which is the most perfect way you could ever do a movie based on Weird Al. Of course, it would be a parody of his life instead of his life. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, I like this. It's a very weird approach, apropos to a biopic. I got to admit, when you do some fact checking on this, I'm not saying obviously we're taking very huge swings, but I got to admit, I'm kind of two minds in regards to certain things that leave you wondering when you don't know all the facts, when you're kind of green to like the intricacies of Weird Al. I think the movie's very interesting, but then you illuminate the mysteries like, okay, well, it's not as interesting as I thought it was, but it's interesting to say the least, and obviously it's very funny. So, this was good as far as the Roku productions go. I mean, Roku's actually been turning out some good stuff. Yeah, because they
What the
did
hell else have they done besides this? This is literally the first thing I've ever heard them do.
well, I don't know if this is the first movie they've ever done, but they did the well, technically they kind of inherited it. So I don't know how much of this they really did, but they had the Slugfest show I told you about. Remember the DC Marvel rivalry show the Russo brothers did. So that was them.
Oh, right, okay.
But again, I don't know how much that's really them versus like it was on Quibi. So I don't
So
really.
that's what, basically like a TV equivalent of like a movie fights kind of thing.
Not exactly, but
I'm just
I
saying
don't.
that's not exactly like a high quality production.
No. Believe me, it's based on it's adapting an actual. Not it's a book that was written on the subject, and they turned it into a TV show.
Oh, okay.
Point being, yeah,
Uh,
overall, I like this. Out of curiosity, the only background I have is I know what the inspiration for this thing was. I don't know if you've heard about this. Did you see the original fake trailer they did? That was the basis and the spine
Um,
of the story for this film.
I definitely remember it coming out back in the day. I don't remember if I was like if I saw it or not. I think that was before I was a big fan of his, so I don't necessarily think I cared all that much. But I've seen it now, and it's a really interesting kind of jumping off point for this movie. Of course,
Yeah, it was so.
one of our big players, Aaron Paul, in the title role here.
Yeah. And he gets a special thanks at the end because again, without him kind of stepping in, I gotta admit, there's one line that he has in that trailer that I feel, as great as Daniel Radcliffe is in this movie, doesn't quite bring it like Aaron Paul did.
No, we'll talk Radcliffe, but I feel like Radcliffe's casting just from top to bottom is literally part of the joke.
Yeah,
So
but yeah, also Koski Productions says Roku's doing the next Tom Hanks produced World War II show. So yeah, it's kind of like Band of Brothers. So I guess they're doing like
interesting.
a variation on Band of Brothers. It sounds like. But yeah, I mean, I think that whole trailer thing's fascinating. That we gave that guy kind of a feature, which is kind of cool. So that's a
Yeah, it
that's
makes me like wonder what other like YouTube parody trailers we could get like actual movies out of.
I
Give me
know
the
one.
Mary Poppins horror movie, Dragon.
Let me tell you one thing. Is while this is again, this is not a comedy, but you know what? In a world where this could happen, you know what else could happen? The Grayson movie. There's this filmmaker, John Fiorella, did this trailer, put his heart and soul into it to kind of like flag down the big brains of Hollywood and say, hey, give us a comp. This is before it was in vogue as it is now. Back in the day when it was a lot harder to get your foot in the door. Like, hey, let us make like a Robin movie.
Uh-huh.
And he basically put his heart and soul and all the sorts of funds into this trailer, which looked fantastic, looked amazing. And you're like, oh my God, someone fund this, man. Give him a feature to make this into a movie. This trailer is amazing. So, yeah, let's make that happen. Let's make the Robin movie happen. And God knows we're running Batman to the ground right now with that Gotham Knights show they're doing. So let's do something good with Robin.
All right, Koski says, no, I fooled you. It's actually Apple TV pranked. And Dragon, honestly, we probably should have seen that coming because of Greyhound.
Well, I mean, honestly, I thought Band of Brothers was like an HBO thing. That's why I'm really surprised he's saying Apple TV. But, I mean, Tom Hanks did do like that Greyhound. You're right, he did do Greyhound. So I don't know.
All right, so I want to start with Radcliffe in our breakdown here.
Yeah.
Because I really do think that from day one, from the minute he got cast, it was literally like, okay, they can't be playing this as a straight just retelling of his life. Because frankly, Radcliffe looks absolutely nothing like Weird Al, and not even in a sense of like, like facially, he doesn't look like Weird Al. Like, no, it's like like body type wise, Dragon Weird Al is a big man. Like he's not fat, but he's a large man. And Radcliffe is not.
He's a big man.
He's a big man.
Very, very big
seriously,
man.
like Weird Al kind of like I sort of picture Weird Al in the same sort of category as like a Brian Posehn or something, because he kind of has like he's just like a really big guy, he's got like that slight hunch to him almost. And Radcliffe is just like this shrimpy little dude. So I feel like right from the get-go, it's like that's not something that they can like improve with makeup. Like we are not really meant to be taking this version of Weird Al seriously as like the gospel truth. Like this is exactly what Weird Al was like. You know what I mean?
Crazy pitch. do you think in a more obviously this would take away from the charm of the movie, but let's just say in a what if scenario here, they played the Weird Al movie a little more direct or a little bit more straight, and you cast somebody who's a little bit more like Weird Al. Do you think Rainn Wilson could play Weird Al?
Not necessarily. I don't know.
That's fine. It could be a yes or no. All right.
It would be a terrible idea, but I think he's a little too old. That's the problem. I think he was perfectly cast as Demento.
All right, regardless, yeah, I mean, I think Radcliffe, you kind of buy him as a young Weird Al, but clearly, I mean, going into this movie, okay, so Weird Al's writing this thing. Well, think about that. That's the coolest thing about this movie. The fact that, like, rarely ever do you have the person, who's in the biopic actually having such an involved role in said biopic. At the very
and if it does happen, it's usually just kind of like in a self-congratulatory, pat themselves on the back kind of thing. Whereas this movie legitimately feels like a product of Weird Al. It legitimately feels like part of Weird Al's catalog, like through and through.
Yeah. I mean, this feels like the cinematic version of a Weird Al music video to a degree.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, who are we going to get to play Weird Al? Let's get Daniel Radcliffe because books.
I mean, I want to make it clear. Radcliffe is a wonderful actor. Yeah. Like, he really is. He's really made a name for himself outside of Harry Potter. I really think the dude is.
He always seems like a nice guy to me every time I see that Radcliffe kid.
Yeah, I really think that he makes very smart choices with his career. As far as like he does enough of like the blockbuster stuff. Like he was in The Lost City. He was a villain in that, and he was pretty good in it. But of course, he also does all this really weird stuff, and I feel like he has a really good balance of that. I don't know.
Didn't he do like that weird thing with the horse in the theater?
Yes, he did the weird thing with the horse.
But again,
that was like the first non-Potter thing he did, and it certainly made an impression.
And that's why you cast that guy as Weird Al.
Oh God! Maybe that's literally how it came about. Like Weird Al was like, "Hey, remember Daniel Radcliffe had sex with the horse that one play? That was really weird."
No, here Bob Odenkirk would play his agent in there's a Daniel Radcliffe biopic. Bob Odenkirk as his agent. You have that scene from Better Call Saul play. He says, "What do you see, Mr. Acker? Is that a man effing a horse?"
Yes. Oh
that's my client, sir.
Oh, dude, I need to edit a mashup of that. Jesus Christ.
Daniel Radcliffe's the boy's name, and he's the man for the job.
Oh God! All right,
but seriously though,
as far as like the appearance goes, I honestly I heard a perfect comparison, and that is that I believe I want to cite probably I think it was Double Toasted who said this. Radcliffe is basically what they did is he's essentially playing himself, playing Weird Al in a Halloween costume party. Like, that's about as much as they did to, dress him up to actually look like the real Weird Al.
Do you remember when Paul Rudd dressed up as Weird Al?
Yes, Halloween? I do. Oh my God, I do. Yeah, absolutely.
That's another casting choice if you did the more straightforward. No, I absolutely.
Paul Rudd. I would sign off on Paul Rudd as Weird Al. I would sign off on that.
To be fair, Paul Rudd's my go-to for a lot because he could be Weird Al and he could also be Jim Henson. He could be a lot of people, honestly.
Also, the man just scientifically does not age, so
I know, which is great for biopics. He should be the go-to for all biopics because the man genetically, he and Mary Steenburgen, they have a Lazarus pit or something. They don't age. It's like a
okay. Not so sweet. John Telling says, "I'll edit that photo." John Telling, if you want to post it to our community page or something, I don't know how you'd get it to me, but
Tiki, I don't think we want that photo on the community page.
I don't know. Well, Dragon, to be fair, he wouldn't actually John Kelly. If you could just edit a photo of Radcliffe in that show, and Mr. Acker on the computer, and just a man bleeping a horse, something
by
like
his
that.
Door holding the photo. That's the thing. Is that?
Yeah. Something like that.
Sure.
And you know what, John Kill? I'm actually even going to put in, if you want to send it to our email. Dragon, can people post stuff on our community page, or can I just post stuff?
Well, I know they can't post it in the live chat, but I mean, on the community page, they should be able to. I believe so. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Then I don't need
I
to
think.
put the email then.
I
Okay.
don't know if they can do photos though. That's the thing. I know they can do like links. I don't know if photos.
Well, then
Just,
he can upload the photo and then send me a link to it.
okay.
All right.
Anywho,
Anyways,
we've gone on such an odd tangent with the horse
yes,
stuff.
we have.
Thinking of all the tangents we could go on.
I know, right? All right, let's so first of all, I want to acknowledge that I think it's hilarious that outside of Radcliffe himself, the first fucking person that we see in this movie is Lin-Manuel Miranda of all people.
Yeah, so you have to imagine that Will Miranda must have been a huge Weird Al fan, right?
Oh, he's got to be. Absolutely.
It would make sense, just given the liberties that Manuel Miranda takes.
So yes, we start with first of all, let's just deconstruct all of the biopic tropes, Dragon. Let's kind of like take this. Let's take this podcast almost like as a Christmas in July episode, Dragon. We're breaking down the tropes.
So structurally, we're mocking kind of like the thing you always have a big problem with biopics. We kind of do a fun satirical take on it here. We do essentially do a cradle to grave story.
Me. I bet you're wondering how I got into this situation.
Yeah. We have that, and it's a cradle to grave story ultimately.
Literally. Very, very, very literally. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, it's a spoiler cast. They've seen the movie. At least they should have.
Oh,
man. Your homework, that's on you,
I was
buddy.
not ready for that ending, dude.
Yeah, I was I was thinking, nah.
We'll get there.
But yeah. And technically they didn't, but
Oh man.
Yeah. So, but also Diedrich Bader as the narrator voice
for. Dragon, of course, Diedrich Bader. Whenever I hear him as the narrator, in my mind, and I'm sure it's the same thing for you. I'm literally just thinking Batman.
Yeah, I mean, this one he very much did kind of his Batman voice for this one.
The
Weird Al in his head. He's the Batman.
Yeah.
Hammers of Justice and all that. So, here's the most. Let me tell you the most fast. I'm sorry, dude. You want to break down more of kind of the tropey stuff before I get into the.
I mean, just the voiceover and just not much. I just want to. I'm very excited to get to the parents, Dragon. We need to talk. Toby
That's what I was about to bring up. I was about to bring up the parents.
So you know who Toby Huss is, right?
Toby, here's the name sounds familiar, but I need you to remind me.
You don't know his role. You don't know the role that this man is known for.
I mean, not by name. I need something like
Dragon. He's Artie, the strongest man in the world. Pete and Pete.
Oh yeah, that is him.
Yeah, remember Artie?
Yeah, now I do. Yeah, that's
yeah. That's.
Yeah, I knew that guy was familiar, but I could not place where he was from. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so honestly, Toby Huss might legitimately have the best performance in this whole damn movie. Honestly,
really loving Toby Huss.
I cracked the hell up. The scene with him and Thomas Lennon as the accordion salesman. Oh my god! Like just the whole the devil.
You didn't tell me to shut up, but I'm glad to.
Just what cracks me up so much about that scene, Dragon, is the whole the devil's squeeze box. First of all, is just the most hilarious description of an accordion I've ever freaking heard.
Yeah,
and then just the fact that he's like, "Shut up," and then punches the dude in the face when he never, or no, he says, "I thought I told you to shut up," and he never said that. Like, if you rewatch the scene, he literally never tells the dude to be quiet. Like Thomas Lennon is trying to be like, "No, sir, it's actually quiet. I thought I told you to shut up."
Okay, so two things. One, I love Thomas Lennon. You know me, I love it every time he shows up and stuff. He's a great actor. So making him the door-to-door, which is actually based on real, not the brutal beating.
That's honestly one of the most true things about the movie is the door-to-door accordion salesman.
Now, mind you, not the brutal beating. The door.
No.
I would hope not, at least. Even if that happened, I mean, for Weird Al's father not to end up in jail after that sort of thing, That's a very desperate salesman.
I'm sure Weird Al had very supportive parents.
Okay, now let me tell you. Here's the thing I want to talk about that though. So, what I did learn, I think this is kind of fascinating. So when I was watching this for the first time, I was thinking the intrigue that I had, just not before I looked into Weird Al's upbringing and like doing some light fact checking on certain things. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of inaccuracies, but I was wondering how much of this maybe was pulled from real life. So Weird Al, very fascinatingly, so in real life, very close to his parents. And when I was watching it, I was thinking perhaps it was the opposite. I was thinking perhaps like, okay, maybe he did have like a tense relationship with his father, which is being heightened to the degree of he's going to beat up accordion salesman, and we're just going to play it for his pure comedy in terms of like over the topness. And the mother's like, we want the accordion, just don't let your father. Of course, the loudest instrument you could have to play, you know. And I played it.
And of course, I'm reminded of Saul Goodman trying to play the accordion.
Well, no, he's trying to play the bagpipes, Sticky.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. It's the bagpipes. Right. That's the only instrument louder than the accordion.
Yes, that is the only. Yeah, you're right. But here's the thing. So in real life, it's actually much more tragic, and I suspect he didn't do this because, again, given that obviously Weird Al was very involved in the writing on this, perhaps it was too personal, and that's why he went the other way with it with the parents. That is fitting into the biopic tropes, but probably the latter. Regardless, in real life, Weird Al is very close to his parents. They're very supportive, assumedly. And they passed in a very tragic way. They passed in 2005 from carbon monoxide poisoning. Like the same
Jesus
way Disney.
Christ! That's awful.
Same way Disney's parents.
Yeah.
So I assume So I wonder. Do you think perhaps we went the other way with it just to like no, we're gonna keep him around. Obviously, we're not gonna kill him off, and we're just gonna kind of like feed into like okay, so we're gonna go.
Obviously, the unsupportive parents thing is like one of the biggest tropes in the biopic genre. Like it's, so I think it's probably like I imagine that he didn't want to do too much with the parents as far as like.
He didn't want to echo like the real life tragedy because one that would have brought the movie down in an unfunny way, and two it's probably really sensitive for him because he said he's gone on record apparently of saying that was like the worst thing that's ever happened to him.
Oh, I imagine, yeah.
So understandably, and of course we've kind of heightened things with fitting into that trope, and we've given it the whole like, and what was his father's dark secret and the reason he was so against Weird Al's antics? He was Amish.
Yes. Oh, that was so perfect.
The Amish hated accordions.
Oh my god. Okay, so that's exactly why I legitimately think Toby Huss is the best performance in the movie, because he goes from just like a hilariously like raging over the top asshole. Yeah. So like I really feel like in the final couple scenes where he's just like watching the award show with his wife and like joking about like Hulk Hogan, like, oh, don't look at him, honey. It's just like he does legitimately have a transformation.
I mean, I think Tiki, there's two things honestly with the parents that occurs to me. They're kind of playing by freakazoid rules to a degree. The mother, especially, is a little like kind of like a more lighter version of Dexter Douglas's mom from Freakazoid. The whole like says, it's this computer, it's my life. That's a very, very sad.
Right. No, yeah, totally.
So in this case, it's like she'll say like these horrible, demoralizing things, but in a loving way. In terms of like, yeah, your father, he's still, he hates everything you do. Yeah, and it's a true disappointment. If you had he never wanted this from a son. All that sort of stuff when he makes that phone call, the whole, and you come back to the factory anytime you want.
Oh my god. And I love how the factory is literally just framed as just like this hellscape.
I mean, yeah, ultimately, I love just how mundane it is, where he has to turn like a little pencil sharpener, and then he has to like pull a lever, and if he pushes any of those buttons, utter calamity. That was the biggest laugh in the movie for me. I gotta be honest. Where he pushed that button, oh my leg! He did the SpongeBob my leg guy in live action. My leg. Now you know what's funny. So this is what we're using with the Freakazoid. Of course, the Freakazoid, one of the great things you have too on the flip side of the mother comparison is that you have esteemed actors and you have them say the most ridiculous dialogue, but they're delivering it so impassionedly, and which is making it funny. So in the backstory scene, it is actually a very tender scene between father and son when they do reconnect, and obviously you think
it is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And the moment from the trailer that inspired the movie. So again, the skeleton, the spine of the movie is absolutely in that trailer. It's very much the guide map, and they filled in the blanks there. But you look at the shirt moment where it reveals, I'm wearing the Weird Al shirt. We do that here, and it's a very pathos-filled moment. And honestly, one of the weirdest choices they made in the movie that kind of cracks you up is amongst all of this, amongst all the backstory, no explanation to how he lost the hand. Just accordion, because he had two hands to play the accordion, but we don't mention what happened there. My theory, my little headcanon, someone pushed that button and he lost a hand instead of a leg. My hand.
Oh my god! All right, let's see.
What am I gonna beat my son's dreams with now? But how horrifying was that? Over the top horrifying, but the destruction of the accordion.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Speaking of which, so another cool thing Weird Al in real life versus here. So this is to me is the most hilarious inversion of the movie ultimately, which I kind of suspected in the trailers, just given the fact that religious people introduced me to Weird Al. Weird Al apparently he also had a very religious upbringing, and in doing so, he's a very straight arrow kind of guy. Isn't like no drinking,
very straight arrow. Yes.
No profanity, no drinking, no alcohol. So of course, what do? We invert all that here,
which I love, and it's totally in his sense of humor to do that too.
Yeah, we have like polka parties. It's like
oh my god, the polka party was like when I knew that this was like absolutely just like in his wheelhouse. I mean, the stuff with the parents was great enough, but then like the polka party, it's just like that is just like going from just like over the top exaggeration, like exaggeration of biopic.
It's the world building.
To just straight up, just like this is just we have left reality at this point.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like the tip off, like okay, we're really gonna be inching away from any ground. Like there's gonna be like liberties, and there's gonna be complete like full on like we're going the full Weird Al thing. Like I think we anticipated when the salesman got beaten the crap out of, and we just kind of like we'll buy it. Then this was like you're right. This is where we're easing into okay. It's not just Weird Al. It's everyone in this world. Okay, we've set the precedents.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Okay, I just want to give a quick shout out to John Kelling again here. He said, Weird Al did a polka parody of Hamilton, so there's a Lin-Manuel Miranda connection.
Yeah, I heard about that, yeah.
I remember when that first came out, I was at Disney World, and I was trying to listen to it on the bus with headphones on. And I was like, this sounds so good, but I wish I was in a more secluded space to actually enjoy it.
Only I knew the patience of waiting.
John Kelling also says, I would really love to see Al write and produce more movies. I feel like he could develop some great project based purely on his music videos, UHF, in this film.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I honestly think, given the fact that he's not really doing studio albums anymore, I feel like he could really lean into something like this.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a plot point in this movie is he kind of goes away from parodies, and in real life, Weird Al, if I recall, he did hit kind of a break for a while, and it's not necessarily saying like no more parodies. At least I don't think so. It's just very much just kind of taking a break, and then he's kind of come back with the Hamilton sort of stuff like that. So
one thing that people don't realize about Weird Al's music is that like all his music is comedy music, and a lot of songs will basically be like kind of like tributes to styles. But not necessarily like most of his albums are roughly like half and half of parody songs and then just like original songs. Like I said, they're all comedy songs, but there's a difference there.
Okay. So let's see. So should we do you want to talk about kind of the rest of the casting, like some of the like the cameos and the familiar faces, and it's kind of like the kind of stunt casting?
Well, I mean, we have that party scene, which I'm like, that's kind of like the center of the film. So I don't know when you want to get to that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Do you want to get to that, or do you want to build to it? What do you want to do?
Well, the only thing I want to mention before that happens is I love the role of the roommates within this film, Dragon, because I love how they're barely named. I believe if I look up in the IMDb credits, and they're literally like three brothers with the last name of Barf. And like they literally like I feel like they are very much just like the prototypical like the members of Queen and Bohemian Rhapsody that aren't Freddie Mercury. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely kind of a Queen vibe there.
Which this movie very much takes a punch on.
It's like,
The
it's like
biggest laugh
what?
in the movie for me, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yes, that. Oh yeah.
We'll
I
get
love
there.
who we
We'll
got
get
to play. I
there.
love who we got to play that guy. But we'll get there.
Indeed,
Regardless,
indeed.
you know what's funny? It just feels like, what if Queen was founded on a sandwich? That's essentially what the premise is for Weird Al's career. So like, what if Weird Al's just making a sandwich, and that's where it all just kind of clicked.
Okay, but of course that is also like, again, Christmas in July trope. That is also very much a trope of like the biopic thing where it's like you're just sitting around like I believe Bohemian Rhapsody very much did the same thing with like, oh, what are we gonna base our song off of? Oh, I forget exactly what song they're doing it with, but
it's the trope of inspiration strikes, you know.
Right,
exactly.
exactly.
So it's basically you have two biopic things we have all over this thing here, where it's inspiration strikes and then it's the name drop. Of course, the name drop leading to okay, here's how we're gonna basically drop a little. It's essentially it's all inspiration striking, but usually it's like a very obvious name drop that leads to the inspiration striking.
Exactly right.
Like we literally have the mother in like we have her made up. It's really random. It's really hilarious. Of like it's just really forced. Unfortunately, it's at the cost of the scene I wanted in the movie very badly. But it's like the mother is put on weight and basically they're teeing up fat. We don't get fat.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, that's my face. That was my first one. No,
that was very funny how they built that up though with like the fat suit and everything.
Wait, what were they? Ma, you're gaining weight? No, we've moved past that already.
You're not fat, honey. You're pleasantly plump.
God.
All right. Koski says he prefers his original songs over his full-blown parodies, and honestly, you're not alone. A lot of people do. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. Honestly, I think some of his original songs are really good.
I'm in Spy Hard, for example. That's a great.
Jackson Park Express is the last song from his last album, and that's like a 10-minute epic in the style of Lou Reed. And it's very much the theme of it is very much kind of like the same thing as Another One Rides the Bus of like, just kind of like the hardships of the mundanities of riding the bus. Anyways, Koski says, oh my God, imagine a sequel to this movie where a Hollywood exec calls Daniel Radcliffe's Weird Al to make a biopic about him, and the story is him getting mad that the movie isn't accurate.
Yeah, so it's basically what if Radcliffe Weird was making this movie? Essentially, that's like. It's like, what do you mean? Oh, this is very inaccurate.
Well, I mean, Radcliffe, like spoiler alert, but Radcliffe Weird Al is dead.
Well, no, he's not. Did you not stay through the credits?
I did. Why is there?
Yeah. Yeah,
is there a post credits that I didn't see from Roku?
Yeah. Well, not at the very end, but like there's a mid credit scene. Yeah.
What was the mid credits? What did I miss?
Okay, so after you had this hilarious montage of like all of like you basically photoshopped the real Weird Al onto these moments from the movie, and after that you have Madonna going to visit his grave, and then the hand comes up and grabs her arm.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, right. That's right. Okay.
So the sequel should be a Halloween movie,
just zombie Weird Al.
So basically, what if you did like Bill Murray in Zombieland? Only he was actually a zombie.
Oh my God!
Like, yeah, I'm a zombie now. That's it. And it's just like his parts falling off, and the whole movie's like stapling. Basically, remember the kid from American Werewolf in London, where he had like the hallucinated, well, not the like the ghost of his friend who kept decomposing throughout. What if that was just Weird Al?
Right. Oh God.
It's like, hey guys, he's just doing parodies of like Thriller and stuff.
All right, so the pool party scene, I like legitimately, Dragon. This whole scene could be like the jumping off point for a biopic cinematic universe. I want to see a fucking movie for every single goddamn person in this scene, Dragon.
Admittedly, here's the thing.
They're all cast so perfectly too. It's not just that they're cool people. It's just that almost all of them are like really, really spot on casting choices.
There was only one casting choice in this movie, really, with the celebrity, kind of like likeness that I think didn't look great. Only one. Hulk Hogan. I don't think Hulk Hogan.
I agree. Yeah, that didn't look. Yeah.
Yeah, go on, bring in Hemsworth, man.
I don't really know who they got to play Pee-wee, but my God, first of all, I love the implication that like Paul Rubin just doesn't exist in this universe. It's just Pee-wee Herman.
Well, remember, he was in character during the period of the 80s for a while, though, so Pee-wee Herman would actually do this sort of thing.
But like just at parties too?
I mean, I would assume that was the charm.
Okay, well, I mean, I believe you, but I
mean, obviously, we've taken liberties in this movie, but I think like Pee Wee Herman was very much like he was known as Pee Wee before he was like known as Paul Rubens, and in doing so, he would do events as Pee Wee Herman all the time. So it stands a reason,
right? That makes sense. That makes sense,
especially if it's a Dr. Demento party. Which, by the way, Rainn Wilson, as you said earlier, he's great as Dr. Demento.
He is. Of course, another trope, the whole mentor, which you just know, Dragon. You just know from the it is so telegraphed. It is so hilariously telegraphed from the second this dude comes on screen that Al is going to stab him in the back.
Well, by the way, with Rainn Wilson as Demento, it kind of reminded me of a we cast Rainn Wilson. I casted Rainn Wilson in the Pixar biopic as Joe Ranft.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because I could imagine him going, "I'm a cute little bumblebee."
Oh my God. Paul Rubens only exists for tax reasons. Yep.
Probably goes up there to avoid the taxes.
But I was also delighted to see Tiny Tim, Dragon, a much more obscure pop culture figure who's equally as weird as Pee Wee Herman.
You had Conan O'Brien as Andy Warhol.
Conan O'Brien is Andy. That is a big one where I want a full biopic of that.
I got to admit, I kind of wanted
Bill of screen time, but my God.
That's good, but you know what? Just because he was so great in Men in Black for Men in Black 3 for his one scene, Bill Hader has played Andy Warhol. That would have been great casting.
I could also see that, yeah.
Because I think Bill Hader's Andy Warhol could actually carry a movie.
I mean, I think Conan O'Brien is Andy Warhol. I'd love to see Conan O'Brien.
I'm so tired of everyone underestimating Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien's great, man.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I'm sorry, Drag. We just have to kind of nerd out about some of the cameos in the scene really quick before we.
Okay, I want to. Okay, so Jack Black was brilliant.
Let's get to Jack Black at the end because he's kind of the cootie top of the whole scene.
All right, well, go on. Tell.
Let's just kind of do a roll call here. Who else? We have. Let's see. We have Paul F. Tompkins as Gallagher.
I love the Gallagher.
yes.
So
Gallagher is like I've always had like a fascination with Gallagher. My parents showed me a Gallagher show like when I was really young, like maybe like less than 10 years old. And I was always like, I don't even really understand, but this is fascinating.
You know what's funny with Gallagher? I've always was 50-50 on his name because I've heard both. I've heard Gallagher and I've heard Gulliver. You know the reason I've heard Gulliver?
Why?
Because on Freakazoid they had the parody of Gallagher.
Oh, right. God.
For some reason, I don't know if it was just them doing it or Gallagher said no, they couldn't use Gallagher, so they had to say Gulliver. And honestly, whenever we kind of talk about and plan stuff with our buddy Jacob Gulliver, the thought does cross my mind of pulling the Freakazoid line. But you love Gulliver.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You know? Just I have tickets for Gulliver's. I don't want them, but you love Gulliver. Anyway, but the watermelon gag.
Let's see. I don't really have a lot of solid casting on some of these people, but I love the fact that we have Elvira popped up. She was, I love Elvira, so great to see her. Bowie was there. Elton John.
That one was funny because you could see like, oh, there's Elton John.
Like that's the thing. A lot of them are just kind of like just there, but they don't even really have any lines or anything. You know.
I just think Elton John was perfect, just given the fact that we have had Rocket Man. It's like
right, yeah. Again, it's kind of like that cinematic universe crossover kind of thing almost.
So speaking of the cinematic universe crossover, we should talk about the bass player.
Okay, so Dragon, the biggest laugh in the whole movie for me, by a considerable margin, is just Jack Black going, "Let's go, guy from Queen."
I love guy from bass guy
let's,
from
let's
Queen.
Let's go to a party where they can do some real parody music.
God,
So
that's so funny.
So first of all, Wolfman Jack, I've always had an appreciation for Wolfman Jack because of American Beauty, American Graffiti. Dragon, did you know that they shot American Graffiti in my hometown?
You know, I've heard it once or twice, but I can't place the source. I just can't.
So yeah, as soon as I saw Jack Black is Wolfman Jack, I was just like, oh my god, that is fucking perfect.
Okay, you want something really heady about
What?
him playing? Okay, so one, I mean, he sounded perfect when we did the Wolfman Jack. You know, did the thing. But look-wise, this kind of distracted me. He looks like young Kevin Smith from the Evening with Kevin Smith era.
Oh, a little bit. Now that you mention it, yeah.
Think about it. It kind of makes you think, oh god, the Kevin Smith biopic we found.
Okay, so Jack Black is Kevin Smith.
I mean, yeah, I was always going with Robert Downey Jr. for Kevin Smith, but yeah.
And Robert Downey Jr. is way too old to play Kevin Smith.
Well, that depends which era of Kevin Smith you do.
I mean, Jack Black is even like Jack Black looks fantastic here, but I mean, like,
if it's the podcast era, you go Downey Jr.
Yes, true, but
that's the thing. But otherwise, yes, you're right though.
But yeah, the guy from Queen. Oh
now,
my
you
god!
You recognized the guy from Queen, didn't you?
Yeah, Dave DeSmulchin, of course.
Yeah, DeSmulchin.
Oh god, just that whole bit. Just I was dying.
Chin.
I was fucking dying. Just the awkward silence. Oh man!
I played the bass from Queen.
And of course, like I said, that's just another like I feel like if this movie is going off of any blueprint, it is probably Bohemian Rhapsody.
There's that. I think there's a mockery of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Jack Black is Kevin Smith, Owen Wilson for Jason Mewes. The biopic
to the nooch, man.
Oh god. Snoochy Boochies, Kev.
Hey, Lunchbox, let's ride a jet ski.
Okay, so just to keep up with the comments here,
I think it's Bohemian Rhapsody, the biopic no one wanted.
Oh God! Well, tell that to all the boomers out there that worship.
Well, unless he means the Kevin Smith biopic, I'm not sure which one.
Jack Black is Dragon. Cast me, Coxkey. All right. Goxie says, I like biopics which are more about the spirit of a person. In this case, you're going to make a biopic about a parody artist. Make a parody biopic. Indeed. I much prefer those types of biopics to Cradle in the Grave biopics, even though this is technically, like we said, very, very much a Cradle to the Grave biopic. Save for the end, random question that doesn't have much to do with the movie. Who is a comedian you think would make for a good traditional biopic? That is a very good question. Dragon, what do you think?
Okay, so a comedian for a traditional biopic. Well, here's the thing. Ryan Reynolds is doing a documentary on John Candy, but I'm trying to think of like look, obviously I'm a sucker for Jim Carrey, so Jim Carrey would always be probably my go-to, but I'm not sure he'd be the best biopic material. Not sure, because that would be the ultimate heady experience when you have him as, if you have a do Jim Carrey biopic, then you get to the Andy Kaufman segment.
I mean, my go-to answer is probably the best biopic pitch we've ever done, which is Channel Awesome.
Well, yeah,
frankly, I think the Channel Awesome saga still would make for just a really captivating Social Network style movie. I really do. But as far as like just a standalone comedian, I would probably say like, I don't know.
And Belushi's the go-to, right? Because everyone's mother's going to say Belushi, but
I'm trying to think of Mike Tyson is Tiki.
No, Paul Dano is Tiki. That's it. My casting for Tiki's always been Paul Dano.
Oh God! You know what? Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Matthew Reese for myself. There you go.
Oh, that's too good.
Yep.
Fuck. That made me feel legitimately self-conscious.
Well, to be fair, I was saying that before.
Like Paul Dano is a better version of me than I am.
Oh yes, and Matthew Reese is the better version of me. What do you want?
Oh, eventually there's going to be a biopic about a YouTube internet. Oh God, I'm surprised there isn't already, like a Fred biopic or something. Like, yeah,
Don't say
there's
that,
got to
because then
be
it's
at
gonna
some point,
happen.
right? It's only a matter of time.
I don't want a biopic of that guy. Don't say that.
Well, I'm just saying he's an example of like early YouTube.
Like, who's the funniest comedian you can think of, Tiki?
Like off the top of my head, probably like Bill Burr.
It's a good point, but his story's not quite done yet. So
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Lenny Bruce. Here's the thing: I would say Lenny Bruce, but he's on the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, so it's kind of a biopic already. He's kind of a character in that show. That's fan. Luke Kirby's killing that, so I don't. Yeah, I mean,
I'm trying to think of.
I'd
George
say Ryan
Carlin.
Reynolds.
Yeah, Carlin's good.
You're right. Carlin that's a great idea. Yes, George Carlin would be perfect. But you know what? Just because, like, in Just Friends,
honestly, also Richard Pryor.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really.
Oh God, you know what sucks?
What?
Chadwick Boseman would have killed that role.
Well, would he? I don't know. Maybe.
I think so. I could see him killing that role.
I mean, obviously, Boseman's great in everything he does, so it's kind of hard to say no. But do you think Boyega might have Richard Pryor in him?
Look, I mean, obviously, we're not going to get Chadwick Boseman, but yeah, Boyega, I could see it.
Anyway, honestly, maybe John David Washington too. Maybe we could see him do something.
I'm not really. I don't see the John David Washington hype, if I'm being totally honest.
I thought you really liked him.
He's like kind of getting to be like, yeah, Black Klansman. I like Adam Driver in that movie a lot more than I like him, honestly, as far as the performance goes.
Imagine Adam Driver playing Freddie Prinze, the original.
All right. We're getting way.
Okay. One last one, then we'll move on. Just one last one.
Sure,
one last one. Okay, so I just want to. Koski says Lenny Bruce already does have a biopic. I didn't know that he had a biopic with Dustin Hoffman. That sounds amazing. But no, here's the thing. Ryan Reynolds in Just Friends, he had like the prosthetic makeup, which made him look a lot like John Candy. So seriously, that's one. If you had Ryan Reynolds in a fat suit playing John Candy, that'd be perfect. He loves that guy.
I could see that.
Okay. Anyway, yes.
Bo Burnham for sure. I could see Bo Burnham. All right.
Nah.
I could honestly see a movie about the making of Bo Burnham's Inside.
Really?
Yeah, have you seen Bo Burnham's Inside?
Bo Burnham is the guy who was in that Promising Young Woman movie, right?
Yes.
I tried watching his stand-up. I just couldn't, I don't know, I didn't like structurally what he was doing.
Yeah, anyways.
That's just me, though, regardless. Yeah, so ultimately, what I love most about this party scene is the fact that, again, it makes sense that Dr. Demento would have all these broad in-character personalities that are kind of like contemporaries of Weird Al at this party. Well, that's my favorite conceit about why we have all these notable people there, but the weird notable people.
Totally.
Yeah. That's a good question John Kelling asked, but we can't get down too far down the biopic.
I feel like people are scared to do it.
Well, now they are, because now we keep flip-flopping between good, bad,
right,
no idea.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I'd herald Hollywood.
Also, what the hell do you do with that movie as far as like the race casting goes?
Well, I mean, he'd have to be black, and then we just have to bite the bullet. Like, well, he was white during this part.
I know, right?
I don't know what to tell you. Just bite the bullet. I mean, it's not whiteface. It's pigmentation, man. I don't know what to tell you. He was the whitest black man you'll ever see in your life.
Oh God, Jesus! All right, yeah. You see, this is exactly why we're not going to get a Michael Jackson biopic.
No, but honestly, you know what though? I would admire Hollywood. You know what? Let's portray a morally complex person. We don't know the answers, and let's just do it. Let's just bite the bullet and let's just do it.
I mean, I feel yeah.
Obviously, we're never going to happen, but yeah.
I could see Danny Boyle.
Yeah.
I mean, Danny Boyle is just like my go-to for like structurally interesting biopics, but.
Anyway,
I digress.
Okay, so let's see. So we kind of talked about the party. Should we? So we the majority of our film is very much the classic. Oh, one thing with people we got to mention. This is important. So this movie has a lot of shades, and I don't know if maybe the original trailer premise of this was inspired by this or not. But at the very least, for a film, it's very interesting that we have Pee Wee Herman in this film, and the original premise of the Pee Wee Herman, the Pee Wee's Big Adventure was a rise and fall, the satire on a Hollywood, and kind of a rock star's journey. You know, he goes.
Wasn't that the original premise of the 20 years later Pee-wee movie?
Well, that's the thing. They kept recycling it. Tiki. The original premise was that, and then it's kind of I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I thought it was like a sanitized version of the idea. Then when it's like, hey, we want Pee-wee to come back, let's dust off that idea, and then we'll just do it darker. And that's how his comeback's going to be. It's a rise and fall story. So I think it's been around Hollywood for a while, and I think that's how we got it here. That's what I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right,
So of course one of the big plot points is the whole Michael Jackson ripped off of Michael Jackson ripped him off, which is great.
Yeah, so do you remember any any actual there was no actual real controversy over the whole I'm not saying it happened exactly like this, but do you think it was a thing where Michael Jackson wasn't happy he did a parody of his song?
No. As far as I'm sure, knowing Michael Jackson, he probably loved it. As far as I know, knowing Michael Jackson's personality,
it is a great absurd idea though. In this though, is the fact of he thinks it's a fully original song, and then of course, we have Beat It come out.
right.
Which is just hilarious, and of course the fact that do you think Eat It's more popular than Beat It if you had the...
No, I don't know.
Wouldn't it be fun if that was the case, though? Wouldn't it be delightful?
I mean, there's certainly cases of Weird Al songs being more popular than parodies.
I gotta be honest. When I'm thinking of Beat It, I'm thinking Eat It before I'm thinking Beat It. I don't know. It just seems catchy. I'm just saying,
Michael Jackson is just you got to remember he's in another stratosphere,
of course.
So
I'm not saying
we literally did not live through the Michael Jackson fame, Dragon. That's what I'm saying. We literally don't have a context for just how famous that dude was.
All we get was the infamy, which was equally as famous, but not in a good way. The Michael Jackson that hung babies out windows.
John Kelling is saying this movie's going to gaslight people in the future. Just you watch. I would love that if it was true. I would love it if a certain subsect of people just literally thought that Weird Al died in the 90s.
God, there's gonna be at a certain point in the future when Weird Al does die, they're just gonna think, so they must have gotten the years wrong.
It's gonna be a fucking Mandela effect, Dragon. It's gonna be a fucking Mandela effect.
But just the fact of no, Weird Al didn't just die. Weird Al was assassinated at this very, very specific award show.
Oh my god!
Do you remember what the award essentially was?
I'm pretty sure it was a Grammy for. It was a very specific award. You're right. It was
for most famous accordion player who essentially it was
in a very niche genre or something like that.
Yeah, that's it. Very famous. It was the most famous accordion player in a niche genre. Or something tantamount to that, very close to that, because it wasn't greatest accordion player ever. Yeah. All right, let's see. So we should talk about the Madonna in the room, speaking of all this cast.
Yes. Madonna was definitely the element of this movie I was the most worried about. Because honestly, Drag, I don't know if you know this about Weird Al. Famously, he did not lose his virginity until later in life.
I know he practiced abstinence on all the straight arrow stuff and everything, and he probably waited till marriage, quite possibly.
Yeah, right. So with the Madonna stuff, I was like, okay, are they going to go too far with this as far as the fictionalization goes? But first of all, Evan Rachel Wood, I have not seen her pop up in much recently. Honestly, to me, I still kind of recognize her as the girl from Across the Universe, which is a freaking terrible movie in retrospect. Now that I'm not a high schooler who's obsessed with the Beatles, but I digress. I would love to do just a deconstruction of Across the Universe at some point, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Evan Rachel Wood, Dragon, she is just on fire in this movie, though. I really think her performance is what sells it, because she is just so over the top, and naturally she's she's very much the big trope of the home wrecker, the Yoko Ono, the person who's gonna come in and just throw a wrench into everything.
And honestly,
go ahead.
And honestly, what's clever about it too is like, okay, how are we gonna, if we're gonna basically maneuver our plot to essentially incorporate, the iconic Weird Al song? So how do we get the, like a surgeon? Well, we're gonna have him actually date Madonna. That's how she gets into the story. Because again, famously, the Madonna was huge back in the day, and Michael Jackson was too. So those were the two biggest parodies that he did, roughly.
Oh,
And like, hey, so let's just have her just freaking date him, which of course flies in the face of the whole the abstinence thing of just like, wow, I was like, yeah, I was with Madonna. I love that Madonna's in the same outfit for the duration of the movie until she
yes,
becomes a
yes,
cartel
yes.
boss. By the way, I love that.
And she's just constantly chewing the bubble gum.
Yep, and she's sexualizing the bubble gum. Like,
Oh
are
my
you chewing
god.
my gum? Yeah, maybe. Want to find out?
One of the funniest scenes involving her for me was just like, and of course, this is once again just kind of like the start of the character's downward spiral, very much a trope. But she's just like pretty much literally like force feeding the alcohol to him as if he's like a baby,
Yeah,
like.
yeah. Yep. Mommy's a little drunk.
Oh god. Oh god. It's very much like the Jesse Pinkman and Jane like
Mm-hmm.
toxic relationship, but just in super fast forward dragon.
Yep, only tragically in Breaking Bad, she's essentially burping the baby, putting it on its back so it doesn't choke on its own vomit, only for well. Yeah. Also, something we should have it too. I thought this was really one of the really standout funny parts of the movie. We go to the record producers, the record label, and we have two.
Yes. Oh my
We,
god, this is just like if Al had to have a cameo, which of course he does, of course he had to have a cameo.
and he played this role in the original trailer too, by the way, years ago.
Did he? That's great. That's
He
great.
was the same character, so it's really funny. They put him.
So this
Yeah.
is just Al is just like, and of course Dragon. It's gotta be just a total like fuck you to the Mike Myers cameo in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Well, it might have predated it, but sure.
What?
Well, I don't know when that trailer was, the Funny or Die trailer was put out, because this gag was in there, so
Oh,
I have to
right.
assume.
Okay.
Like,
Well,
I don't know.
the gag maybe, but I'm
Yeah,
just saying the way this character is written and
sure.
incorporated into this movie
Well, Will
specifically.
Forte is more like Mike Myers than that Weird Al is, but yeah.
Well, I mean, they're brothers. They're pretty much like it's pretty much the same role.
Yeah, sure. I just love this.
Oh,
My
but Will
favorite.
Forte, no, you're right. It's like Weird Al is obviously going to steal that scene for everyone, but I do think that Will Forte's whole speech about like I'm going to remember you, I'm going to remember your name.
So I gotta tell you, what cracks me up so much. I think the funniest part of the scene when they first meet is just Will Forte is digging into the personal attacks of like the stupid shirts and the
Oh
long
my
stupid
god.
curly hair and that dumb mustache, and just the fact that you have the real Weird Al right there. Say, okay, let's rein it back a little bit. Let's rein it. Let's not get personal. So that cracked me the heck up.
Oh,
Like, oh god, that's so funny. All right, so then we
and
have
of
like
course it is so freaking meta.
it is. It's wonderful. But also, I love like there's a little sincerity there. Just, this guy's actually the Weird is actually helping him essentially his younger fictional self here,
Indeed, indeed.
which
Yeah.
is nice. So the near death experience that he incurred, I love that he's going on in like 30 minutes. Like, there's no way this is ever going to be possible. It's like we have to get him on stage in 30 minutes. And he comes up with a whole new song. It's throwing logic out the window. We're going into the full Zucker Brothers kind of spoof territory here.
Totally.
Yeah.
Also, John Kelling says the implication is that it's all in the same day. Madonna knocked on his door.
Mm-hmm.
The restaurant Weird Al says they've been together for 6 hours.
Which is why she's in the same outfit. That's what he's saying. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Also, fun fact: just this is really cool. We had a few other cameos, we should probably just kind of shout out. But additionally, most of these cameos I'm about to mention were also in the original trailer, the Funny or Die trailer, which is why they're in the movie, but in different roles. Like, for example, Patton Oswalt. He's in this, and he was Dr. Demento in the trailer.
Right.
So you have Seth Green on the radios, the DJ, and you have a good old Michael McKean.
Yes.
It's Tiki. This honestly is going to be like a deep cut for the kids today. But you know what? It's so I think it's so darn charming that we have Michael McKean, very famous for the original musical spoof of a biopic, the original biopic spoof. Well, it's
Totally.
more of a documentary spoof, but same difference.
No,
Of
no, it very much that very much was a trailblazer as far as a music spoof goes, Dragon. That movie very much spoofed the whole like the egocentric rock band.
is the fact that, of course, Michael McKean, very famous for everyone comedically for Spinal Tap, and we make him the MC who introduces Weird Al for the Rocky Road number.
Uh-huh.
It's great. Let's see. So, do you want to shout out the songs, or do we want to plow through those real quick, or no, or
I don't really think we need to
okay,
per se.
that's fine. Okay, should we talk about the catharsis with Al and his father?
1 second. I just want to
Sure.
point out a couple of, just one more comment from Koski. He says, I love this comment. He says, they made a biopic about Chris Rock. They would have him die at the Oscars after the slap.
Okay, two things. Okay, real quick. I'm going to make a prediction for, this is going to sound really random, but just go with me on this. Because of how notable that thing is and the fact that everyone's still talking about it, I'll bet you the next season of The Boys, I could be wrong here, but imagine this next season of The Boys, there has to be a bit where Homelander does this and he actually kills the guy on stage. Where you have a comedian, they're basically them lampooning this. Where like someone says something about Homelander, he goes up there with a smile, and now that Homelander can do all sorts of terrible stuff and get away with it, he's just going to slap and decapitate people on stage.
I could even see that being like the opening of the season. Like he just slaps the dude and his whole face just like collapses on itself or something.
And everyone's going like, yeah! Or like, there's gonna be like a whole like support, like, yeah, hashtag Homelander was right, or like, hashtag supporting the family or something like that. But yeah.
All right. So yes, the like I said, I don't have much more to say with the father. I just think that I legitimately think that Toby Huss's performance is just like impressive because he's such a dick at the beginning of the movie and he's such a warm guy by the end of it. Like I genuinely think he probably has, like from a serious point of view, the best character arc in the movie.
That he does. And of course, it's an absurd character arc, but it is quite.
It is, but like I said, it's like it is the one character arc that you can kind of take a little bit seriously.
And I love that when he's on stage, he's just like, "I suck it, Dad. I told you." When he's doing the acceptance speech, and he's like, "Wait, what? I thought we had like a whole father-son catharsis. What happened?"
Right.
Okay, so one thing we do have to talk about, we did glaze over before we talk about the death itself. The thing that leads to that, Pablo. Let's talk about Pablo Escobar.
Okay. I got to admit, Pablo, this is probably like the one section of the movie that, like, from a structural point of view, I mean, you need it to set up the Madonna thing at the end, but
yeah,
this is like, it's the one part of the movie where I feel like the Zucker brothers quality just almost kind of hijacks the film. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but that's the thing, though, Tiki. It's this weird space of, it is very intentionally it feels like it's very intentionally making fun of Hollywood for, we got to squeeze action into everything.
No, absolutely. That's what it's making fun of. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think you're wrong, but I think that's kind of the point.
It's almost kind of like a very, very miniature version of why I didn't really love that Nick Cage movie.
Oh, you mean, the incredible,
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Where it's like that movie had a lot of really fun stuff with the with the actual like Nick Cage playing himself and the meta humor about his career but all the action stuff in that movie just did not work for me.
Yeah. So, of course, also Pedro Pascal was really funny in that, though.
He was, yeah.
So speaking of which, I love the Pablo Escobar. This is the most charming idea. The fact that Pablo Escobar is a huge fan of Weird Al Yankovic.
Okay, no, like the Pablo Escobar himself is really funny. I mean, I know you're not familiar with South Park, Dragon, but the way they wrote Escobar kind of reminds me of how South Park writes Saddam Hussein. Just like super effeminate and just like, oh god. But at the same time, Dragon, he's kind of got that Tuco Salamanca quality where it's like he'll kill the whole band just to turn down the music.
Well, dude, he didn't key a shot at him. They're okay. They're fine.
Right.
But you're right. No, I hear your point. He's very dangerous, though, and he's still though. You know, it's the most mundane thing for me during this. Is this kind of had this very mundane thought.
Hmm.
Tiki, if you were in this situation and after, would you have eaten the cake? Would you have sampled the cake before you killed everybody?
Probably not, honestly.
Yeah, no cake. Like, what about afterwards? Would you grab some cake before you go? Because obviously Madonna's not can't hit the broadside of a barn. There's no real danger there. Would you grab a slice to go?
I love that gag, by the way.
Yeah. See, for me, if it was chocolate cake, I would consider it. If it were not chocolate cake, I would walk on.
My mind is just going to Emilio Estevez in that new Mighty Ducks show where he runs the ice skating rink and he literally lives off of leftover kids' birthday cakes.
Is Eldon Henson in that show?
Probably.
Probably, you don't know? I thought you watched that show.
I don't. I didn't watch past like the first few episodes.
Oh, so you really been, no pun intended, you've really been eating out on that cake story then.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, like, if you heard that Eldon Henson was in something, like, I don't. You want me to look?
I thought you mentioned Eldon Henson was in the Mighty Ducks thing, so I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Anyway,
regardless, the platinum record necklace, of course, saving the day too when he gets shot and he like, yeah, you can leave anytime you want. Psych.
Oh God.
Yeah, shoots him. So yeah, so Madonna apparently, she a terrible shot and also pure evil.
Yes, he is in the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. Yes.
There you go.
All right. For 2 episodes.
Well, all right. Swinging a miss.
He's also randomly Ashton Kutcher's best friend in The Butterfly Effect.
We got Koski Productions. Tickets, bring it back to that Ant-Man podcast.
Oh God!
Put it on the screen.
Ice cream cake, I would eat it. It's regular cake, I wouldn't.
I would just real quick, mini tangent because we're at the end here. How tantalizing is ice cream cake, man? Because I mean, you bring out ice cream cake, everyone and their mother wants the ice cream. Bring out regular cake, it's like, no, I'll take a slice home. But the ice cream cake, it's an immediacy. Like, no, I want the ice cream cake.
I hear you.
Because you have to eat it now because it's ice cream. You can't take that home. You got to eat that there, man. Plus the crunch. Anyway, sorry. Now I'm drifting us off. Focus regardless.
$10 goddamn for a little thin like sliver of cake, and it pisses me off so much.
But when you see how great are the themed cakes, Tiki? Let's talk about the theme.
I mean, themed cakes are one thing, Drag, but I'm just saying, like, Disney, like, this isn't even really a themed cake. It's just like, here's a fucking, like, tiny slice of cake for $10. You'll buy it because you're a sucker.
But if it's just for you, though, isn't that filling?
Oh, my God.
Well, if that cake is just entirely for you, don't you think you get your money's worth out of that?
Dragon, I'm saying it's a tiny sliver of cake. I'm saying Dragon, I'm saying it's the kind of cake when someone asks if they want a slice of cake and the person's like, yeah, maybe just a sliver. It's literally.
I agree. I'm saying for a party, terrible idea. Terrible idea for a party. I'm saying just like, I want.
Okay, look, I am just trying to bitch about Disney price gouging here. All right.
What Disney? I'm talking. You're besmirching the good name of Tom Carvel here. I think we should draw lines here.
All right.
Okay, you want to whine about Disney and
yes, I want to whine about Disney. What has been my arc for the entirety of 2022?
You want to whine about Disney and tell Chapek he looks fat in his money? It's fine.
Who you call a pinhead?
Chapek, that money suit makes you look fat. Oh, I'm talking like the Weird Al fat levels of fat, man. That doesn't look good.
Okay, can I just say, like, while we're on the subject, just really quick, I watched a vlog. Phantasmic came back to Hollywood Studios this week. The crowds were just fucking ridiculous. Like, you really shouldn't even be having that many people in the park at the same time. Like, at that point, it's just becoming a fucking safety issue. Like, I can't even imagine trying to get to Tower of Terror or something, like, with the crowds. Dragon, Phantasmic started at 8 o'clock, and by 5 o'clock, I watched the vlog, like, half of the goddamn things at that park were closed. Just inexplicably closed. I'm just like, I'm sorry, I need to get off of this. I need to get
yes, please. I mean, you're bringing in, I'm talking ice cream cake, you're bringing Disney into things, man. I
know, because cake reminded me of the fucking Disney thing. Anyway, I really hope that Chapek is just lining his wallet. Man, I like, ugh.
Anyway, JPEG, very fat with greed. We get it. Anyway. But yeah, so we
should
killed.
just do like a weekly like Tiki bitches about Disney podcast because
No
I would
one
have
wants
material
to.
every fucking week. I really would.
Let's not. All right. Anyway, point being the fiduciary responsibilities of the Walt Disney Company aside, we kill Weird Al. We should talk about that.
Yes. I mean, I honestly like. How do you feel about it just being so abrupt?
I mean, I loved it because there are a few biopics that do end with like the whole we don't want to show the tragedy, but we're gonna end with the freeze frame. He's like, no, but so rarely do you ever have like a guy who knows he's about to like no, and then we have, of course, my favorite thing with any biopic ever, the text at the end of the movie.
Oh, you and I disagree about this. I really don't like the text.
Well, I'm saying at the very least, like I don't know. Regardless, I like when the text is there. So like, even as a trope or when it's done right, I like that text at the end is just gonna comes up like, oh man.
Honestly, I respect when biopics don't do the text.
Fair enough.
Because to me, the text is just kind of like a shorthand, like for when it's done wrong. Like it can't be done right. Like I feel like The Social Network uses text in a really good way because the last line of the text is something ironic, but I believe the last line of The Social Network is, basically like emphasizes like Mark Zuckerberg is super duper successful, but he doesn't have any friends. I like something like, again, I go back to like Bohemian Rhapsody, Dragon. It's like the text on that is basically just like, yeah, here's all the shit that we couldn't cram into the actual movie.
I gotta be honest with the text. The majority of my enjoyment of the text is just more so the fact of like, oh, there's the biopic signature. Give text at the end. I gotta be honest. That's when I say I love the text.
It's got cameo.
I gotta be honest. That's the majority of what I mean when I say. I mean, at times I like how it puts a little dramatic little button on things, but I mean, predominantly I'm enjoying it for the fact that, oh, there it is. It's like they said the name of the movie in the movie, that sort of thing. They said the title.
So John Kelling says he was walking down I Drive when that was happening. He got caught in the rain that eventually ruined the show. John Kelling, really? The show actually got canceled? Because I got to tell you, as someone who fucking hates Disney now, that makes me so happy. That makes me so happy that all those fucking Disney influencers, who stood in the crowd for like fucking hours to get their shot at Fantasmic, just couldn't do it because of the rain. I love that. I legitimately love that.
Okay, you're frothing a little dash of.
Oh, I am. I really am.
Can we pull it back in a little bit? Okay, you're getting a hair trigger on the mouse ears, my friend. You gotta dial it back a little. Okay.
Did I show you my Halloween costume?
Yes, I saw. Yes, we
did
the whole trip report. You went out of your way to show me. How do you forget that you showed me the picture?
Okay.
Anyway. Mister, I gotta make a statement.
It is a statement, goddammit.
Yeah. It's a statement for the 1%. I get it. Anyway. So
the 1% of who? What?
It's a statement for like the 1% of the 1% people are gonna get like, yeah, he's trying to say I don't like the Disney company, I suppose.
The Disney company is the 1%. That's
what I mean. That's who your demographic is with that outfit. I don't think anyone's going to get that costume. He is, he looks more like a hobo than he does like a modern day hobo, like a hipster hobo.
All right, Koski says, I left for a second and I see John Kelling spreading lies about ice cream cake. Ice cream cake is the only thing that makes me smile. I left my child's birth just because I heard my friend had ice cream cake at home.
You got to admit, though, I mean, you're just going to hear a lot of crying. There's going to be a lot of messes. Well, I mean, the important thing, you call to know that everything went okay. Here's the thing. You grab the cake, you bring it home, so when the baby comes home, the baby can't have any cake, but the mother can have some cake. They'll lift her spirits right up. Forget the agonizing hours to a day of labor. She'll be fine.
But yeah, I got to admit, the movie just straight up like ending as soon as the gunshot goes off. I'm not Dragon, I honestly maybe would have liked to have seen one more scene, just like having a funeral or something, like maybe bringing back all those cameos from the pool party. Just to wrap up the story a little bit, because as it stands, like I understand that maybe that's kind of part of the joke, though, now that I think about it, because the ending is just super duper abrupt, and the text just literally wraps everything up.
And yeah, we've had abrupt endings in movies too. You know? I mean, look, folks, I want to be clear. I'm not just trying to to give it plot armor here, but it is the degree of like when you're in spoof territory, it's a hard line to circumnavigate. Of like, okay, how much of this is like intended to be okay? We're satirizing things, even if it's a satire. Like, how much of that is like an actual like? Should we have ended it here? You know, how much of it is like an actual fix for something versus like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have done that.
Dragon, I honestly think I'm just being greedy because I just really want another pool party scene and just seeing all those characters. Like, could you imagine just seeing Pee Wee Herman and Tiny Tim and Gallagher and freaking Conan O'Brien, Andy Warhol, just all in funeral attire?
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman walks over, he takes off the hand, he buries it in the dirt a little bit. You know, God. I tell you, one thing with text at the end of the movie, though, real quick, it just baffles me. There are multiple. Apparently, there's like two versions of Schindler's List. One without all the text. It's actually important historical text at the end, and one's just completely without text, where it feels like, I mean, sure, well, why would you have two versions of that? Commit to one vision. Don't give me two versions. That's weird.
Mm.
Anyway.
Zombie Weird Al was the final scene. Yeah, that's fair. That's
so.
Fair.
And also, by the way, did you see his headstone? Did you see what it said on there?
No, I don't think. Off the top of my head, I don't remember.
Well, I forget there was something in the like to say that he lived, but it said when he died, he ate it this year. He ate it, in 1985 or something. So I just love he ate it.
Oh, right.
Delightful.
We had a photograph, a montage of photos throughout Al's life, including the moment before it just happened.
See, that's the thing. I was laughing so hard at the fact that, we even showed the murder. Look at it. He's in the bloody murder that you think maybe we weren't going to show.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, he died brutally, folks. It was he was gunned down like someone shot at him like Reagan, only survived.
Okay. Koski, I'm gonna try and do this as earnestly as possible.
Would you like me to do it?
Sure.
People ask, what was the happiest day in my life? I say my wedding, but please understand, in my head, I know it was actually the day I thought I ran out of ice. Okay, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I thought I ran out of ice cream cake. I can do it. Like, I can do it again. I don't waste all the time here. Maybe it was just point being. I thought I ran out of ice cream cake. Looked and found out I haven't.
Profound.
He didn't, Tiki. He didn't run out of it.
All right. Honestly, I feel like that's a good note to end out on, unless you have anything else.
He's alive, but a zombie, but he's alive. And that's how we say the biopic was authentic.
Yeah, just big thanks to Koski and not so spooky John Kelly. You guys have been on fire in the chat tonight. Awesome. Jacob popped in saying, "Hey, we're talking about the Weird Al movie." Jacob, I assume you're probably talking about me just randomly going off on an anti-Disney rant. Which, yes, you are one of my biggest critics when it comes to that. And yeah, guilty as charged. I totally like that. I totally just went on a relatively unprovoked anti-Disney rant.
We were on many tangents and other things too, but yes,
indeed,
that's probably the most vitriol fueled one, but yes.
All right, so yeah, y'all are awesome. See y'all later.
Let us eat ice cream cake.
Indeed.
It's in the shape of an accordion.
The Devil Squeeze Box.
Devil Squeeze